it is for you guys. Enjoy.
Welcome to We the Thunder. I am Shooter, and we have the Stash.
Does Stash keep all of his knives?
And Thomas Schooley, bringing us to school the day after Christmas. Stash, how was Christmas dinner?
What a lead in. It's funny you just put me on the spot because I literally just told these guys that we were so lazy yesterday that we didn't even get to Christmas dinner. I just made it for dinner tonight. And we were also lazy that literally I just finished making it before I came on the show. So I still haven't had Christmas dinner yet. But me and my boy, the two nephews, our whole family had one of our best Christmases in a long time because we didn't have an agenda or a timeline. And let me tell you, it was great. It was great.
And Thomas Schooley, do you dunk your Steven Stamkos Oreos, or do you just save them forever?
Or do you even eat them at all?
Apparently, they said do not eat them is the consensus. So we're gonna see how long Oreo lasts because
there are only two in there. And for the podcast listeners, Thomas Schooley has some personalized Steven Stamkos Oreos, and I saw two in the box, and I'm like, one of those says Shooter all over it, the other says Stash.
Yeah,
don't let us buy those Oreos.
Sure, like, bro.
This is what I'll eat instead.
Right.
Twinkie and candy canes.
Oh, can't.
That was from Serena. So,
man, you need a mother-in-law, bro. That's all I'm saying. Oh, if you don't follow Thomas Schooley on social media, he was very upset that he didn't get any Christmas cookies this year. And I can tell you right now, I've had at least 3 Christmas cookie comas since Friday or so. My mother-in-law stopped by and dropped off the annual run. We talked about it before on the show of how we have lucky Christmas cookies from my mother-in-law, and I've been gorging myself. I'm not gonna lie; it's gonna be a long January having to work this Christmas gut off. I'll tell you that.
Well, Jody Meaver's man, I did go over to her house on Christmas Eve, and she gave me some homemade Christmas cookies. So I do have a bag of them somewhere. So.
Look at you. You finally get the cookie, and you don't even know where they are. Oh, they're in here somewhere.
No, I think they're on my couch.
Yeah, so gracious. No, I know what it is. He's just pretending he hasn't already finished them. That's what it is.
No. I have like 5 left.
Well, we got Schooley who's well snacked up, and we've got Stash who's got the rolling cart bar.
Yes. The new feature to the Stash Lounge is a rolling bar cart that Mrs. Stash thoughtfully got for me for Christmas, and I haven't even cleaned up the mayhem from the boys' Christmas yet, so I haven't got it quite situated in here or loaded up yet, but.
Is this
one thing it does tell me? I mean, it might become a gimmick. I'm not gonna lie. It's wide open for it to become a gimmick on the show. Let's be honest, right? So,
I thought you were gonna make some Stash lightning themed cocktails.
I'm just an old fashioned guy, man. It's bourbon, so it's like an old fashioned Manhattan, neat. You know, that's
no
kind of that's how I roll.
Water Street special.
I mean, I make my old fashioned my way. Like it's pretty like it's my own tweak on it. It's the regular ingredients that you'd have in an old fashioned, but you know, I make my own simple syrup. I use the bourbon cherries. I try to use only hand picked bottles from my buddy down at Sunshine with the Neat Freaks group. Those guys down there are pretty awesome. Not whole group, but yeah, that's how I come across most of my bourbon these days. So now that we've done my bourbon corner and my plug, free plug, which is I need to stop doing those on this show. Let's talk some embarrassing Lightning hockey, shall we?
2 games.
Are we just avoiding it? Are we avoiding the elephant in the room? I was
going to try to go the whole episode without talking about hockey because you would think that this team is, at the bottom of the standings going into the holidays.
Worst team in the league now. Yep.
Well, 2 straight losses back to back.
Here's the funny thing about that is myself and the Queen of Boltsville, Kim, who's now in Maryland with her sister for Christmas. We were at the airport to welcome the team back from their 2 losses. And something I said to Kim was, do we clap? Because they didn't play good. And Kim hangs me out to dry because Kim brings a sign. So Kim goes, I don't know. I'll be holding my sign. so then I'm sitting there like, so I'm like doing almost a golfer's clap to them. And so it was an adventure. Of course, we saw after that Toronto beat down, Coop came out and said that they played like shit. And then the other thing was that he said he knows now not to do 3 days in Toronto ever again.
Or maybe he's learned not to shake up the lineup for no fucking reason. Maybe he's learned that.
I do not think they've ever won a game when Hedman's birthday is the night before.
Dude, yeah, we talked about that last season. You brought it up. I remember. Yeah, we talked about they don't do good around Eddie's birthday at all.
No, they do not. And that was the Toronto. They were in their Toronto for Eddie's birthday, and I think Stamkos knows exactly where to go in Toronto to have a little fun. So here's Serena chiming in because their first year also in Vegas. They played the day after Hetty's birthday. So, they don't play well around Hetty's birthday. They need to just hope for a bomb cyclone every year around Hetty's birthday.
Right.
Yeah, there was supposed to be 3 games this week. In case anyone was wondering, Friday's game was postponed.
Rescheduled till April, correct? March.
Yeah.
March.
Because
they moved the other game to April. Yeah. Because they were supposed to be playing Philly. They moved to Philly to April. Right. Yeah. So end of the season. So yeah, I mean, they didn't play great, but again, I don't understand. And I'm not don't be bringing up Fire Coop or blah, 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 blah. I'm just saying, hey, Hedman, by the way, played a very poor game. And maybe it was because of his birthday, blah. But he had 2 weak plays on the boards behind the net that both directly led to goals. He might not have been the last guy to touch the puck, but he was the person that should have made the play on the first touch, and he did not, and he got beat, and that led to 2 goals. So, people say I only rag on Sergachev or only Hetty did not have a good game. And he all season, if you ask me, he's been that guy that's not been as hard as he should be in the boards, and he hasn't been as good as possessing the puck in his own zone below the goal line as he normally is. Normally he's solid getting that puck, making that play, and then transition out of their own zone. He's been struggling with that this season.
Well, there's been those questions.
Right.
There's been those questions if he's injured or not, and they haven't said no, and they haven't said yes. They've always kind of, the 4 times that I think I've seen the question come up, it's always been, well, here's what he has done, and then that's how they leave it.
He certainly looks like he did, what was that, 2 seasons ago when he was battling that injury going down the stretch, and we were like, what? Because he started like a house of fire that season, and then down the stretch he kind of was playing like, a regular all-star, not like the best NHL defenseman or best defenseman in the NHL like we're used to. So, yeah, I mean, I could understand those questions, and I think it trickled in the playoffs even for him. But I mean, there was a few things, and I'll tell you right now, Ian Cole as well. He has great awareness of great plays, but there's still certain things he's doing. He takes really bad penalties because he gets beat again below the goal line or down there around the net. But really, what I was getting back to, because Serena brought me back from my rant, but it's like I don't understand how suddenly Cirelli comes back and then all of a sudden, let's switch up the top 6, which have been just freaking dynamic and crushing it. Cirelli's back. Let's just fuck it all up. That's what I don't understand. Like we talked about it. He likes to do this around this time of the season, historically, but maybe it's time to stop right now. Just like let those top 6 guys find their be great like they have been, and then figure out what those bottom 6 really is going to look like for you.
Yeah, I think he didn't like matchups that Toronto was putting out there. And that's what Coop likes to do, is try to get those matchups. And I think he was trying to get Cirelli against those top guys, and it just didn't work.
I mean, Cirelli's been playing great. That's the other thing. And we've already seen, we've talked about on the show how he's had an effect on those guys that weren't scoring. Since he's come back, those guys have put secondary and third line scoring, third and fourth line scoring where it needs to be. Those guys have gotten first goals of their seasons. They've been playing better. And you talk about messing with lines. I think that goes all the way down to that fourth line. Like it's if you want to figure out who your third line is, and maybe there's another forward that's right there on the edge of coming in and being scratched or not, I think your third line is where you find that. You leave your fourth line and leave your top two lines alone, and you let that third line find its way through the heart of the season. So that way, when you roll in the playoffs, like we've seen in the past, that third line can really do what it's got to do and do heavy work. Because I do believe that with Colton and Cirelli and Nemestikov to a point, which I'll say I'm also disappointed in Nemestikov so far this season as well. Like he seems to be overplaying or overthinking. Right. And I mean, he's shown recently some flashes and he's being a little bit more himself. But I think so far this season, he's kind of been overplaying, thinking he had to kind of make up for Cirelli's absence. So that's why I just don't understand why you just kind of don't just put him in there and let him roll. Sometimes Coop is too much of a lawyer and like, okay, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Sometimes just be the old school hockey coach you got to be and know your guys got to find their own way right now, but that's, what do I know? Here I am.
Yeah, it wasn't horribly bad. I mean, they got outplayed by Toronto, but it was really a 2-1 game. They scored two empty net goals.
Yeah.
Which made it 4-1. Is Cooch a dirty player?
Well, and then what's his name from Detroit just kind of has our fucking number right now, the goalie, right?
Yes.
I keep forgetting it. Husso. Right? Husso. Yeah. He like we saw when they were here, we saw there, like it's not like the Lightning played terrible early on in that game. They actually played pretty good for the first 40 overall. And it's just Husso just keeps robbing them early in those games. And then Detroit has found a way with their new coach and a few veteran guys like David Perron and whatnot. It's not the same team that Blashill left last season. No. Lalonde's been very vocal about that and outspoken about the fact that he has way more tools in his toolbox than Blashill has had probably even for the last 5 years there in Detroit. So it's not exactly the same team we've been seeing the last few years. And again, what do you know? Our old assistant coach just kind of happens to know how to play against this team with the tools that he has, So sometimes you just got to chalk that up to, again, matchups. And and again, Yusso's just been out of his mind against us this season.
Well, it doesn't help when Moose has by far his worst game of the season.
Yeah,
he was.
And listen, screw everybody else that's talking shit about Moose now, right? That guy was on a 7-game winning streak, and he goes in there, and it's not really his fault. It just happens sometimes. And
I didn't see much talk. Was there bad talk on him?
There was a good amount of people out there saying how Elliott was terrible.
Well, a lot of people like to ask, like, why isn't Vasi in net? And you got to read the schedule. It's back-to-back games. Vasi,
exactly.
No goalie usually plays back-to-back games unless it's some sort of weird playoff scenario. So,
what's up, Steve? We see him in the chat. Hey, I love the Christmas sweater in your profile picture.
I have an important announcement to make because I just sent Steve some Monkey Cold Coffee today.
That's right. It's there.
MonkeyColdCoffee.com. You can go buy it online. You got a couple stores around the Bay Area that have it, but you can
just buy it online
and buy it now.
Buy it online. Be lazy. Sit right here while you're watching the show. Just go to MonkeyCold.com in a separate page. You can do it side by side, and go to MonkeyColdCoffee.com and buy it there. Be lazy. Have it shipped right to your door.
We'll just pause right here so everyone can do that. Here, I'll play some music or something.
A moment of silence.
No, we got some music or something that we can play.
We're gonna get sued.
Trebek is not alive.
And that is your Monkey Cult Coffee Break, brought to you by We the Thunder and Shooter in the Stash. When you need a quick pick-me-up, go to Monkey Cult Coffee, and you'll get it, from the internet, right to your front door.
That's
what we do in 2023.
So yes,
it's a special Christmas edition. What do you want?
Buffalo's game for tomorrow has also been postponed because they were supposed to play in Columbus and they cannot.
They can't get out of Buffalo.
Fly out. So,
does anybody out there have any friends in Buffalo? Because I have friends that just moved to Buffalo from here in the Tampa Bay area, and they had snow up to their waist.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a lot of people on Thunderbolts. Well, here's the problem: is a lot of them don't have power right now, so they can't even get online.
Right.
So the problem is that I saw one person in Thunderbolts who lives in Buffalo, a Syracuse fan, and they said that they had lost power like 4 hours into the storm, and I haven't seen anything from them out lately. So.
Jeez.
I mean, I'm personally happy for the cold we had here. It's good for fat people like me, and Stash. It's nice to have that cold weather. It felt real nice out there.
I like fire.
Fire. Yesterday I saw you out there at a fire pit. I was at a fire pit at my friend's house. It was just nice. It's great weather. Of course, by the end of this week, we're going to be back into the 80s again. So all you people bitching got your weather back.
No, I mean boating. That's why I live in Florida. I love it.
Will the Bolts be boating, though? They got the Canadians coming to town on Wednesday.
Yep.
Then right back at it Thursday night with the Rangers coming to town. And then a New Year's Eve special. 5 o'clock start time. Celebrate the New Year's with the Bolts and the Yotes coming to town. So what do you guys think of these games this week? I think you got a couple winnable games.
2-0 because A, they're back at home.
Well, there's three. There's 3 games.
Oh, what's the other game?
There's
Canadian,
Montreal Rangers.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, all 3 of them. Yeah, I think they're all winnable games.
They're all winnable. Rangers, they've been hot and cold, and they've been lately on a little cold streak. So I think we're hitting them at a good time. Montreal, we just played up there when we did our watch party, Thunderbolts Christmas party, and put a spanking on them there. And then Arizona, I think that's gonna. We haven't seen them yet this year, but that's very winnable game there.
Yeah, do the Rangers play in Florida while they're here before or no? After, okay, so they're just coming on from Carolina or somewhere.
And Canadians play us Wednesday, Panthers Thursday.
Yeah. See, I think that the Rangers, I feel like, is probably the best team to have coming in the second night of a back-to-back, being home, because against Montreal, I don't think Montreal really believes in themselves, and I think if there's one team that it's like Montreal's the new Red Wings for the Lightning right now. You know what I mean?
The Rangers play Washington tomorrow, and then here on Thursday.
So I still feel like they're on the road trip coming from Montreal, coming out. Like, that's a really good matchup for the Lightning, even though it's a back-to-back. It's a home back-to-back. Got Montreal. We probably have Vasi against Shesterkin, and I think Vasi is looking to make a statement.
Yeah, I think you got to go with Moose against Montreal there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just get him some – I think to get his confidence back after going against Toronto or after the Red Wings game, I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You go ahead and get him started on a new win streak, and then you play Vasi on the Rangers. The only problem is there now you had a long time between games for Vasi because of that Buffalo postponement. So that'd be the only reason I can see them starting Vasi on Montreal.
Yeah, they might not want to wait. I want to stick them in there. Let Moose handle New York.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
We'll see what they do. I agree with you guys, though. I'd rather see Vasi. I'd rather see him against the Rangers, against Igor head-to-head. Should be exciting. And guess who's playing at the arena Thursday before the big boys play?
You and your ring of dreams.
That's right.
That's right. So I will kiss the ice. I will bless it, and I'm all.
If we lose, it's him.
And that's a reverse retro night too, isn't it?
It is a reverse retro night, Thursday night.
Yeah. So,
and we got the captain. Don't forget, the captain only needs 2 more.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 500.
He's right there on 500.
It's happening this week at home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably be down there for that game. So hopefully we win that one because I think
I will not be.
Oh, sweet. Nice.
Yes.
Okay. There we go. Nope. See? No, Sarah, calm down. We have just now established all 3 of us will not be in the building. So if the Lightning lose it, it's not our fault.
I will not be at the 28th or the 29th. I will be at the 31st. For the 28th and 29th, I will not be there. So, and Steve Mandango won the loft tickets for the 28th that he's going to take his daughter to for donating for seats for service.
Yeah, good job, Steve. What was he? Never mind. We're not allowed to say that. Just good for him because he won. Right.
Yes. Good job, Steve. Here, we can give him a sound effect. Steve.
You can tell we're on Christmas break too, guys.
Yeah. Hey.
No, Mike Douglas. We haven't talked about that guy for years.
No.
It's Rude too.
First of all, it's Rude too.
Jody's going to be right next to Steve. She's the other person that won the tickets to the loft.
Nice.
So both of them will be in the loft together there for that game on the 28th.
How many goals do you think Jan Ruda has this season with the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Mike will tell you. He either has 2 or 3. But Mike
Strawman that got put on. That's right.
Yeah. Mike could tell you he's now, I think, got 2 game worn jerseys because he isn't bidding against anybody else. He's got 3.
He's got 3 goals, 3 assists.
Wait, is that 3 goals or 3 game worn sweaters?
Three goals.
Both.
Yeah.
And he's been playing almost 20 minutes a night last couple games. So he's making his impact there. He's a +9. So something right.
I mean, at least he's a +9.
Yeah, that's always the weirdest stat, though. The old +/-.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, you start looking around the league. We talked about, McDavid was on a run where it's only +3, but what's Kucherov is a 0 right now. He's even, and I think Stamkos is only like a +3 or like +5, something like that. So, as a team, if you start looking at that number, that's not great. You know what I mean? Like individually, it's one of those kind of old stats that maybe was misused to analyze players for a little while. But when you start looking at a team and you start seeing some of your top guys are like closer to even than not, then that's a bit alarming,
Yeah, well, this has been the Jan Ruda Coffee Talk Hour.
Rude 2, damn it, Rude 2. His name is freaking Rude 2.
Rude 2.
Mike Nicholas doesn't even know. Some fan he is.
Now, nobody picked Rude 2 as most likely to drink all the eggnog at the Lightning.
This is the week I lose my lead. I know. I'm just got fucking hammered.
Oh, I don't think so.
I didn't even pay attention because I don't do the Twitter thing, so I feel like I got hammered here.
No, because I think the fans won the most from Stephanie.
Should we look? You guys want to see?
We don't really have shit else going on. We're 20. I feel like normally at this point of the show we're like 40 minutes. It's only 26 minutes in. I feel like we're already like, this is definitely a Christmas episode. Let's do it. Let's look at the stats.
Let's do it.
Let's play the game.
But before we look at those stats, just because this was the tweet right above it, we're going to talk about Das Queen. The queen is listening right now. That's Kim, the current queen. But for the new calendar year, we will have a new queen. Maybe we Kim might. She actually.
I'm rooting
Kim
for her.
has told me she has not decided if she's even going to defend the
She
crown.
told me the other day she is going to defend it.
I'm rooting for her. I'll tell you that right now. I'm on the record. I'm rooting for Kim. She's my pick. So
how could you root against her? So we're gonna do it again, January 30th. Once we start talking again, I'll put the link in the chat here if anyone out there wants to check it out. You can also check the show notes if you're a podcast listener, and we'll make sure you get in the competition January 30th. But here we go. What Bolt player is most likely to have the AAA batteries when you need them? This was a close one. Look, Bogo and Stamkos. This is like, we need to check for hanging chads. We need to go back and maybe do a recount next weekend on this.
Wrong.
Bogo has taken it. Did you say I was wrong, Thomas?
Yeah.
But the fans have got it wrong again. Bogo.
Who'd I take?
Stash, you took Stamkos.
That's what I thought. I thought the captain. The captain was the one to be ready. Who the fuck that Bogosian was? You guys are whatever. Okay. I love our fans. You're all awesome. Thanks for listening and voting.
Bogo was also selected by the Thunder. So a point for the Thunder, who, by the way, the Thunder in last place in the stash in first in shooter. That's me, shooter, and Schoolie. Right in the middle, tied up. So 1 point goes to the Thunder for Bogo. Next question was, what Bolt player is most likely to drink all the eggnog at the Lightning Christmas party? Patty Maroon ran away with this one, and that was Thomas Schoolie.
That's the only one I got. That's the only one I got.
What about this one? What Bolts player is the biggest Grinch on the team?
Oh.
Who chose Corey Perry?
Oh,
I was so close.
Thomas Schoolie chose Corey Perry.
Last time I saw that,
close.
Killer was in the lead. Last time I
know y'all were laughing at me, and I thought I had that one.
Killer with a strong showing. He was up there before. But Perry.
You know what we should do though? We should do like an overall championship, like whoever had, you know what I mean, score like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then whoever had the most cumulative points gets like a bonus 2 points or some shit, right?
I'm gonna stop this.
Like in a tournament, right, like if it was like the Cup Series, you know what I mean? It's not just about winning every race. It's like if I was in second for every single one and like only, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's fair. Just kidding. Go ahead. Next one. Next one. Next.
Hold on.
Next one. Next question.
We have a sound effect for that. What Bolt player is most likely to star in a holiday Hallmark movie? Somehow, Brandon Hagel with less votes than anyone else. How's that possible?
Well, it's weird because I said Paul, and Stash was like, "Oh, you're right. Paul looks just like every guy in those Hallmark movies."
And
then he came in next to last.
And it was Ross Colton with almost half the vote here, and that goes to the Thunder again. The Thunder, I guess it makes sense that the Thunder picked all these winners,
right? Because the fans, right,
for it. Even though it's just one fan that picks it. All right, the next one. What two Bolts are most likely to fight over who gets the new video gaming system first? Who gets to play it first? Sorelli and Killer. This one was tight all the way across. You can see, but Sorelli and Killer, 27% of the vote was the Thunder again. Somehow you guys missed that Braden Point is always playing games or talking about gaming. So
somehow you guys forget that Sergey is also a huge gamer, and then we basically never heard Killer talk about video games at all. But whatever.
That's all right. Another point for the Thunder, and then finally, what player?
Do you guys not watch our show that know the Stammer Clause is our nobody Stammer Clause people Stammer Clause?
It is not Stamkos. It is my pick, Pat Maroon, getting more than half the vote. I could see that one, Pat Maroon.
No, ridiculous.
So
ridiculous.
I get the point. I get something here. I get the point on that one.
Whatever keeps away from the fans and me getting my ass kicked this week.
You know what I find? Well, here, number one complaint.
I knew I was going to get shut out. I knew I was going to get shut out.
You did. Another fan brought this up. Shooter didn't have them where they were like one thread together. So if you look back at those, some of them had 120 votes. Those last two only had 80 votes. So the 40 vote difference, because they would have had to keep scrolling, because Shooty still is using that as his personal Twitter too. Talks a lot. so I was trying to show, so when I shared it in Thunderbolts the other day, I had to go like a full page down before
if anybody wants to actually hear what Shooter has to say, you just have to read it on Twitter. He doesn't talk on this show. He lets us do all the talking. But if you follow Twitter at We the Thunder Pod, you're gonna know what Shooter has to say.
The problem is we had 2 games in between all that, so he's doing the whole
way too much time on his hands. Way too much time on his hands.
He's doing the whole game tweets for both the games. So down goes the poll, down goes the poll, down goes the poll.
I'm about to hire somebody for our new PR.
Down goes the poll.
Down goes the poll.
So the Thunder added 3, Schooley added 2, I added 1. That brings Schooley within 1 of the stash. And then I am tied with the Thunder at 9.
Can we get back to actual hockey stats, facts, and statistics this week, please?
Good news. We will, and we are pausing the challenge until next year. So no challenge today.
I like it.
Oh.
I like it. There's been way too much bourbon in the last 36 hours.
Although
that's been at my best. Although I was just going to say, I feel like I've been at my best. Oh, look at this one.
Now what?
Look at this one. Someone's been having margaritas and been watching The Grinch the last couple of weeks. Coming in salty in the tweets, Serena. Coming in hot and saucy. You've been eating tacos.
She shouldn't even be. She should be mad at Shooter because he called her Sabrina.
Sabrina.
I wasn't talking about Serena.
He was talking about the teenage witch, Sabrina.
Yeah, witch. That was I said, who's Sabrina? And he's like, the teenage witch.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with Serena.
Yeah.
Sabrina. You're pronouncing it wrong. It's Sabrina.
Yeah. I was like, excuse me.
So,
no, did you guys watch any of the other hockey since the Lightning game wasn't on the other day?
I mean, I guess some guy scored another goal, and so
Gordie Howe.
He's
well, he passed.
Gordie Howe. Rightly so. Listen, rightly so. I know we're a Lightning show, but we're a hockey show, and we're a fan show. And I mean, do you see that he's also now Ovechkin now has a record for most shots on goal?
Yeah,
and I know it gets a little bit annoying. I get over it a little bit, even with Espo all the time and Chief all the time. But seriously, shoot the fucking puck, right? Like, shoot the fucking puck. Look what happens. Ovechkin, most shots ever attempted on goal, second all-time goals.
Well, Ovechkin
that's a coincidence.
Also is out there the whole 2 minutes of the power play.
Well, that's true.
He doesn't leave. He doesn't go off the ice for the power play. He's on unit 1 and unit 2.
He's on all 3 units.
Right. So, I mean, he never leaves the ice.
He's like the president on cable TV back in the 60s. He's on every channel.
Yeah.
When they're president, he was on every channel. That's what it is. Like, that's all there is to it. And he deserves it. I just say it that way. He deserves it, man. That guy worked his ass off. He was an asshole early on in his career. The longer he's been in America playing NHL, the more he's become like a kind of relaxed, chill, everyday, almost kind of North American style hockey player, blue blood kind of guy. He interacts with the fans now. He smiles with missing 2 or 3 teeth all the time. Like the guy has changed his game. He's adapted, and he's still shooting the puck like 15 times a night. So what can you say bad about the guy? Good for you. And I hope next year or in the next 2 seasons, he breaks the fucking record, man. I hope I get to see a guy of my generation break the record of most goals. I'll be honest.
I think we're going to see it. I think we're going to see it in the next few years. And he's pretty much on a mission just to do that. And I think the good thing for him is he's got the support of the entire organization. You know, they want to see him get there too, and that's why they'll let him stay out there for.
And he came out and said he will not play for rebuilding. So I think he put his foot down there because there was a lot of talk whether there's going to be some movement from Washington going into the trade deadline, and he has stated he will not play for Washington if they go into a rebuild. So I think he's told them what he wants, and I think they give him that.
Well, they're playing better now too.
They're
winning games. So
yeah. A lot of the teams in the East are starting to learn how to play defense. It's amazing, including Toronto somehow. But we'll wait. It's still only December. It's not the playoffs.
Yeah. Toronto looked good. I didn't think Detroit looked as good as Toronto, but Toronto looked good. I think the Lightning kind of sealed their own fate at the beginning of that Toronto game when they kind of screwed up on the extended 5-on-3.
Yeah.
They continue to keep trying to pass. Well, and one thing I've talked about, and thanks for bringing it up. I'm not trying to go on a tangent, but like one thing I've noticed about the Lightning was when they get that 5-on-3, it's like overtime to me sometimes, right? Like if you don't like it, double back and reset. It's 5-on-3. They're not going to really come and challenge you in the neutral zone and risk some kind of a turnover and an odd man rush, right? So, but they got to still kind of come up and defend. If you just sit there 5-on-3, they're just going to sit right there in a little triangle right in front of the goalie, and you're never going to really get the shooting lane that you want. You're going to keep trying to pass it and that's what we saw, right? They literally kept trying to pass, and Toronto played the perfect little triangle
for some horrible reason.
Well, hey, I don't know. Look, you want to get into it? I'll get into it. I don't care about. I'll talk about it right now because it does kind of it's weird what's going on with that line. But again, I still think the Coop isn't doing himself any favors by switching up those top 6 guys on a whim and not letting them keep gelling and carrying this team offensively. So, but yeah, that 5-on-3, I think sometimes, especially if you have 5 forwards out there, treat it like an overtime. Take the puck out of the zone, skate it back, reset it, come in on a rush, 5-on-3 rush. You know what I mean? Get them out of position. I mean, that's what you start seeing Edmonton. Why McDavid and Draisaitl score so much is a lot of it's on the rush. So they come in right after they set it up in the offensive zone. It's not when they've been in there for a couple of cycles and the team's able to be set up. It's when you're dynamic and those guys are able to move freely within the zone, creating those lanes and those angles against the goalie. When the defense is set up there, the PK is set up those 3 guys in a kind of a triangle or diamond, if you will, with the goalie being that bottom point. It's really hard to get those angles. It really is. People will be surprised how difficult it is on a 5-on-3 to really get those shooting angles if you're keeping it at the top of the zone and just passing it around and like a rainbow horseshoe kind of thing around and just hoping to kind of get somebody out of position. And you're much less likely to get somebody out of position on a 5-on-3 than you are on a 5-on-4. Believe it or not, you really are.
So I got a question for you guys. We're about 8 games from half season. Toronto is. So I want to ask you guys, the East, I'm going to give you the teams right now that would be in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. What one team of these that would currently be in the playoffs do you think doesn't make it? And then I'm going to say the teams that aren't in the playoffs that you think might end up making it. Because we've seen the fall of Florida this season. I mean, from a team that looked so promising last year and they did that monster trade in the offseason, and then they've just been falling. So right now in the East, you have Boston, Toronto, Lightning, Carolina, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, the Rangers, and Washington. Which one of those do you think miss, or if any?
Hold on, let me pull it up on my computer so I can see it.
I'd still, I know we just talked about Ovechkin, but I'd still keep Washington out with all the injuries they have.
And then who do you think that makes it that isn't in it right now? The Islanders, Detroit, Buffalo, Florida, Montreal, Ottawa, Philly, and Columbus.
Oh, I mean, I guess it would be the Islanders, and I would go Islanders because their goalie's been playing really well this year.
See, I think Buffalo.
I think, I think the Islanders are the team that's going to make it, and I think Jersey did themselves enough favors early on in the season that they're going to hold on to it. So I don't know, man. I could see. I was just gonna say, to me, it's those 5 or 6. It's either Pittsburgh or New York that's gonna fall out, really. Because I don't believe in Pittsburgh. So like everyone sitting here saying the sky is falling for the Lightning. We've had 3 2-game losing streaks this season. That's it. That's our longest losing streak. 2, 3 times, and we just saw one of them. Right? That's it. 2 of them have been on the road. 2 of the 3 have been back-to-back losses on the road. So like these teams, Pittsburgh lost 7 in a row. The Rangers went on a streak where they weren't winning a lot of games either. They lost 2-3 in a row. Like these teams have not been consistent. Even New Jersey's now been on a skid. Toronto went on a skid. Carolina on a skid. Boston and Tampa are really the only 2 teams in the East that haven't gone on prolonged losing streaks. They're the only 2 teams that haven't had losing streaks of more than 2 games. Right?
Steve thinks Jersey's out and Buffalo's in.
I think Jersey is just good enough to hold on. I respect that. I respect that because that was the first one I looked at. Like I said Jersey first for a reason, because I feel like a lot of people would say that's the team. I think they're good enough, and I think they started good enough to keep themselves just there. I think the Islanders are definitely that team that I think that, we saw them in the Eastern Conference Final not too long ago. It was a shock they didn't make the playoffs last year. So I think that they're still a playoff team. And it's definitely Rangers. It's either Penguins, Rangers, or Caps for me. And for me, it's I hate to say Pittsburgh because they do have talent, but I just don't think they have the depth. And to me, I think it's the Penguins. I think the Penguins end up missing the playoffs. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's Pittsburgh or New York, and then I think Buffalo makes it in. And
X Factor
or Detroit makes it in. I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit slides in there in that last spot.
I just think that
I think they have just enough rookie veteran ratio that they're very similar to the Bolts.
Don't get me wrong. I think that adding David Perron is a very underrated move for the Red Wings this year. Like that guy is, the Thunderbolts admins are in cahoots. Shocking.
Yeah.
No, this guy. No, but like I said earlier in the show, there's actually been, if you guys aren't talked about a lot, I don't mind pumping up other people. If you don't have a subscription to The Athletic, you should. It's some of the greatest journalism out there. Although I do want to give out a shout out real quick to Ed Encina. I've kind of given him a hard time, but since Joe Smith left this area, he's been really stepping up at the Tampa Bay Times. Ed Encina's had some really good articles lately. But I digress. They had an article about the swap of the coaches of Lalonde and Blashill. And Lalonde, again, has been effusive of the praise of how great Blashill was and the transition and how good he was because they're such good friends. I mean, we all know that Coop and Lalonde have a bond because they coach together, but Blashill and Lalonde were friends coming up in the minor leagues before when they first got into coaching together. Like they're truly family friends. So it could be a really
Blashill wanted Lalonde on his staff. But at that time, Lightning wasn't allowing it.
Well, and they wouldn't allow him to be interviewed.
Yeah.
But so and he's already said that he has so many more tools in his toolbox just this season alone after what Blashill ever had in the last really 6 or 7 years coaching there through this extended rebuild that they've been going through. And, obviously Yzerman believes in Lalonde, and he knows Lalonde from being in this organization before. And so he's given him a little bit more. And I can't say enough. There's been a couple other acquisitions that they've made. But to me, I think David Perron coming over from St. Louis, right, is one of the biggest things that they did to that team. That's a great – he was a captain over there. That guy, and he still has enough hockey left in him to command respect in the locker room and for people to follow him. I still think that they're not quite deep enough, though. Honestly, a couple of injuries, a couple of bad games, again, a few extended losing streaks. That's what keeps you out of the playoffs. That's what Coops talks about year after year, right? We've heard it. If you avoid the losing streaks, you're pretty much going to make the playoffs. And as long as we don't lose more than 2 games in a row, it's very, very likely that they're going to be in the playoffs. And well, Stephanie must have been watching early because he will say, like, Houston's had our number and Billy has been picking up for them. But I think that's why they were in a playoff spot early and they aren't now. That's the only reason I think they truly were in that 6th spot for a little while. And that was because of Houston. But he can't win every single game for them.
Now, Western Conference, the teams in are Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado, Vegas, Kings, Seattle, Minnesota, Calgary. The guys looking outside is Edmonton, St. Louis, Nashville, Vancouver, Sharks, Arizona, Anaheim, and Chicago. And Nashville just got back McDonough.
Yeah. Wow, what a gruesome. But hey, by the way, who is the guy? Who just went out from the puck to the face? Who was in the Capitals, right? Sorry, it was just almost like the McDonough, but worse.
Oh, really? I didn't see it.
Like it was like when Kane got his wrist cut and the blood was just like boom on the ice. And I thought the puck hit him in the face when I was talking about. I was like, oh, that's exactly what happened. It was a Capitals player. If you guys, I'm sorry, I was distracted all week, and then it's like one of their bigger guys too. He just left the hospital today.
Carlson,
thank you. Yes, John Carlson, right?
Yep.
Yeah, John Carlson. It was pretty brutal. Like it was literally like right up under the visor, right up on the nose and the cheek, and it just exploded. Like there was this huge puddle of blood as he went down. So good for him to come back. Sorry, weird tangent. Sorry. Christmas tangents for me tonight.
Western, I think Colorado misses it. I don't think Colorado makes the playoffs this year. And
so many injuries.
I think Edmonton sneaks in there.
Well, so just to put it in context for everyone that's just listening or watching and doesn't have the benefits of 2 screens or being able to bring other thing up, in the Western Conference, 5, 6, 7, 8. Laverne and Shirley, nobody. Anyways, they're all 5, 6, and 7 are at 40 points, and Calgary is at 39 points. Edmonton is at 38 points. So you're looking at those bottom 4 teams point, and Winnipeg is even only at 43. Like these winning percentages aren't great. So just like Stephanie says, the Western Conference is weak. These winning percentages aren't great over there. And I mean, I could see Seattle not having the staying power because they're still trying to get over that hump. I could see Minnesota just kind of fading because again, they just don't have depth. Edmonton is the team that's going to make the playoffs, but for no reason. It's going to be pointless for them once again, but Edmonton's that team. And I think, and for me, it's 2 teams, Edmonton and St. Louis both make the playoffs. And I think it's probably Minnesota and Seattle that don't. Although I'm not convinced by Winnipeg either. So I just want to put that out there. I'm waffling in the West.
I think Winnipeg's doing much better this year with what's the coach that used to be here and then went to Dallas?
Bonus.
Yeah. Bonus on the bench.
That's right. You're not wrong. I forgot about that. I forgot Bonus is up there. So yeah, I think Bonus keeps them in for sure. Bonus keeps them in.
Yeah.
So it's between Seattle and Minnesota. I think they don't make it, and I think you're going to see Edmonton, St. Louis make it.
Yeah, I think for some reason I think Seattle might overtake the Kings, and I might see Colorado and Minnesota not making it.
Yeah.
Now I will tell everyone what's going to happen.
Oh, here we go.
Prognosticate.
Calgary. They're swapping. Calgary's going to lose that last spot. Edmonton's going to make it. St. Louis, Nashville, Vancouver, San Jose, all these guys towards the bottom. They ain't going anywhere.
Zero chance.
I mean, St. Louis gets a little streaky sometimes. Nashville's got good defense, but there's a top 9 in the West.
Yeah. Well, and I you got a good point though. Like St. Louis goes as Binnington goes, and we all know that Binnington goes as the wind blows. Right. That guy's wishy-washy. And Nashville is pretty much the same. You know, it's about how good Saros and Jokinen are, right? It's all about UC and Saros, and if those two guys aren't dominating, and even with McDonough there, they still don't have the forwards to support the defense and the goaltending there in Nashville. So, but I don't know. St. Louis still, and they've lost them there. Yeah, I don't know, man. I keep believing in them, but they've given away all the things that won them a Stanley Cup in 2019. They just got rid of them all. So including
I want to see Vancouver up there. I'd love to see TJ Miller. Like I wish he was on a better team.
Listen,
that man deserves it.
I put this out in the Webiverse the other day, and you guys all know, if you ever watch the show for like 30 seconds, how much I love Killer. I would have traded Killer and Yanni just to keep TJ on this team.
Yep.
Seriously. Yeah. I would have traded Killer in a heartbeat to keep TJ Miller on this team.
Yeah,
that guy is wasting away in the Pacific Northwest, dude. Wasting away. That guy's a fucking star. He's a star. That guy's JT. Damn it. Thank you. JT. Thank you, Stephanie. Schooling got me on it. TJ was Tyler Johnson. JT Miller.
And you both did it.
Thank you, admin. No, because I trusted the professor. What do you mean JT Miller wasn't doing anything for us? I'm sorry, I'm right. Damn, I'm not trying to dog our fans, but that is not true. JT Miller crushed for us and then went and has been lighting the world on fire in the most anonymous hockey club in the NHL right now, also a Canadian team.
Yeah, JT was the bonus in that trade that we had. And it was a surprise bonus, a great bonus. Someone that the Lightning said they had tried trading for 2 other times and just
signed that big contract
the trigger on it. And then we signed him for the large contract. And then in the middle of the Thunderbolts, Miller and Mac charity event, I have to get on the middle of the picnic table and say, by the way, Miller just got traded while we were doing the Can Jam event. So he was
playing on the 4th line in the 19th season. You know who else? Verhaeghe played on that line. Marchessault played on that. There's so much depth that are out there crushing it that are not as good as JT that played on that. Trust me, I'm right. I'm right.
Well, that was
JT Miller is the one that got away. JT Miller is the one that got away. Not Yanni Gourde, not anybody else. Blah, blah, blah. JT Miller is the one that got away. I'm going to tell you that right now. Period. That's it.
Yeah, I think if he was still on this team, he would be up there in one of those 2 lines.
We definitely would have had at least 3 in a row. And we probably would have won before we did, honestly. 2019 probably don't get swept.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be the one player I would say we lost a lot when we lost him.
Yeah. That guy is probably the number 1 most underrated player in the NHL right now because he plays for Vancouver.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway,
see, we don't always disagree on everything.
Speaking of which, it's surprising to see Matthew Orozco in the chat tonight. Him and I have been kind of agreeing on a lot of stuff lately too. So 2023 might be actually a good year finally.
Well,
or it might be the cataclysm because we're finally agreeing. Who knows?
Yeah, this bomb cyclone might have froze over hell. So.
Yeah. Well, the Broncos finally fired their coach, so maybe hell did freeze over because they should have done it in week 6.
They should have done it in week 2.
Should never have. Anyways, moving along to the NHL. Chell.
Who do you think's the first NHL coach fired? I'm really shocked we haven't had one yet. I'm shocked we haven't had one yet.
One's been fired yet?
No.
I'm kind of surprised that. I mean, I think the only reason we haven't seen Maurice fired is because they fired their coach last year. I think that's the only reason why Florida hasn't already fired Maurice.
Yeah,
right.
They've been calling for his head.
Yeah, that's the only reason I don't think they haven't fired Maurice, because like Arizona, they're not going to be good. That's right, Serena. Like, I get it. That's the easy answer. But like, they don't expect you to be good. You're just there. You're a placeholder until they get a new arena. You know what I mean? Paul Maurice, they fired the winningest coach in franchise history to bring this guy in, and you're currently 7 points out of the playoffs at Christmas. I don't think that's why you bring Paul Maurice in, right? I mean, I'm going on a limb here, but I don't think that's why. I don't think that's why you bring that guy in, right?
Yeah. What about Anaheim's coach? They've been underperforming for years now, and he's been.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't made a move there.
Dallas Eakins.
I think you're waiting for somebody to get fired that you can hire. That's what I think, right? Like, who are you going to have? Like, you've got great talent, and there's been a lot of speculation right now in the league talking about, well, they should make a move at least for like a mid-level coach, right? So that these young stars that they have aren't just ground down to learning how to be losers, right? Like, I was watching one of my favorite movies over the weekend. Nothing to do with hockey. It's about pool. It's called Pool Hall Junkies. But there's a speech in it by one of the characters. He talks about if you think you're a loser, or you keep believing you're a loser, the only people you're going to be able to beat are the people that believe they're bigger losers than you are, right? And if you go into Anaheim knowing that you're the biggest loser in the league, then no one's ever going to lose to you, right? Like, that's that. Like, you never lose to somebody that you know. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's always that any given Sunday or mentality, whatever, right? But there's that idea that if you know this team's kind of a joke, like San Jose, Arizona, Anaheim, Chicago right now, but Chicago is doing their thing to kind of rebuild, so that's a little bit different. If you have talent and stars that the NHL, that the Chell is clearly trying to get over, it might be time to go out and find, like a Guy Boucher or those mid-level guys that are trying to find a new career, or some that know how to win, aren't just going to come and be like, oh, we're losers. No, we're fresh, we're young, we expect to kind of win.
I think the Ducks should fire their coach and hire Gordon Bombay.
Go fucking Emilio.
The only way to do it.
Yeah.
I kind of, I feel Anaheim, but then I'm also wondering how long Marty has. And
I think Marty has the keys for a little while. I mean, Cole Caulfield's finally playing good hockey, right? That's the thing you have to see. Like I'm saying in Anaheim, like, you have to inspire. Like, Cole Caulfield wasn't playing great. He had streakiness here and there. That team they're not going to win a lot of games against great teams, but they're going to play good hockey. You're seeing Anaheim is not really playing great hockey. Their stars are making highlight reel goals, and they're losing 5-3. They're losing, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're losing greatly while their superstars are scoring a couple of games or goals a game, whatever,
My thing is that Anaheim, I think you slip under the radar as a coach there. These coaches in Chicago, Montreal, Toronto, New York Rangers, those are the ones that you get hung, you get crucified. And so how long the team, if you're under the rebuild, like I think Richardson is in Chicago, I think he has
Luke's got some rope.
He's got some years to go. The Marty thing, I believe they're young, as people are saying in the chat. I believe, maybe 3 years, but they're such a team that is so built on traditions. How long until the fans pressure
that? They have to change it. The fans, look at Toronto. They cave to the fans, and they don't win. Montreal, and I brought this up anytime I can in the chats. I brought up a lot of times on the show. Montreal traditionally they care about Francophile type of players, French nationalists, French Canadians. You have to speak French. You have to be a French traditionalist to be part of this team. Well, now they have that guy as a coach, right? Now you don't have to necessarily make your players be that, and that gives you a lot more ability to go and fill the team. Where you don't necessarily have to make your coach or your captain like a Druin, or like you don't have to force yourself to have those players. You've got a guy that can do it, and a guy that is a Hall of Famer as well, right? So to me, I think if you're trying to change a culture, you've got to finally be like, you know what? Marty St. Louis is our coach until he retires. Like there has to you have to create a new legacy, right? You're a Canadian team. You're the face of the franchise. Like you have to be able to say, hey, we're not here to change coaches every 2 or 3 years. No. Marty St. Louis has his jersey in a rafter in Florida, of all places. He is a French Canadian hockey player. Let's put his name in the rafters as a coach in Canada. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's got to be your idea now.
But I don't think we'll ever see
another win.
Cooper. I don't think we'll ever see another longevity like Coop has.
I don't know, man. I think you have to start looking at it a different way because we see it. The blueprint's here. Here. Look at what's happened in Tampa. The longer you have consistency in coaching, ownership, and management, the more likely you are to succeed because you're still going to be, even if you have a losing team or a losing record or a season that we set all the records and then we don't perform, everyone was looking at the chopping block. Oh, let's rebuild. Do you think they come back and win 2 cups if they fire Cooper and bring somebody else? Fuck no. They absolutely do not.
It's also, if you look at most of the NHL teams, they don't have the players still on their team from their own system. Where, right. You know, if you look at all of our players that have came up through our system, have spent their entire career with Tampa, you don't have that much anymore. But for Tampa has always, and there's always been that, oh, Cooper doesn't get along with the players, blah, blah, blah. You know, there was way back there when Stamkos was, whether he was going to resign or he won't resign because he didn't like Cooper. And I was like, listen, Stamkos is the captain. If he didn't like Cooper, he wouldn't be here. Same thing when Kucherov was re-signing. Oh, Kuch wouldn't re-sign here because of Cooper. If they wanted Kuch, you know, the Coop would have been gone. There's plenty of coaches that get fired because their stars don't like the coach. So
John Tortorella.
Yeah. I mean, we have so many that have grown up with this system and have stayed on this team. And even players that end up getting traded wish they retired here as Tampa.
Hate living.
McDonough didn't want to leave. McDonough would have spent that whole 7 years here and then retired. And you see Coburn's back.
Yeah. Well, what else do you guys got? We're at 1 hour and 5, and I've got to hit the head so bad right now.
Yeah, look at that. We built up to an hour when just a few minutes ago it was 30 minutes.
I know.
I got nothing else. Let's wrap it up. Casey Hudson next week with just you guys. She's gonna
maybe our guest host.
Yeah, she'll host for me. I'll be out. So 3 games this week. 3-0. 3-0.
3-0.
No.
2-1.
2-1.
2-1.
I think I have a 3-0. Yeah, I think I have a 3-0 bounce back homestand.
All right. Well, we'll try it again next week with Casey Hudson. Until then, this has been We the Thunder. Don't forget to be the Thunder.
That's it.
It was abrupt.